How to be a villain.
Because you need a blood sacrifice next. Meow. Chu suddenly smiled like a demon, his eyes sparkling, and said, "Blood sacrifice? Blood sacrifice, Keke." He looked at Miao Xiaoqi with killing intent. Miao Xiaoqi, shocked, said, "Oh, do not be so murderous. This blood sacrifice is not what you think." Chu, confused, said, Miao Xiaoqi said, "The congenital sword fetus needs to taste blood. You need to use your own blood to cultivate it next." As Chu dropped his blood on the congenital sword fetus, an system notification said, "Info. Congenital sword fetus has broken through the 79,999th layer of formation, entering the 80,000th layer." Chu said to himself in excitement. Miao Xiaoqi was not lying. 1 week later, a system notification said, "Info. Congenital sword fetus has broken through the 80,307th layer of formation." As Chu felt like his body was being drained dry, Miao Xiaoqi said, "Your current look, ha ha ha, Keke, it is so interesting, meow." Chu looked at her, not amused, and said, "I am currently running low on blood, and I am in the mood for cat meat." Miao Xiaoqi said, "I am not going to laugh at you anymore, meow." Chu said, "How long do I have until I completely cultivate the sword fetus at my current speed?" Miao Xiaoqi said, "Around 3 months, meow. But you probably realize that it gets harder the more you cultivate." Chu said to himself, "Keep going." As Chu's power intensified, Miao Xiaoqi excitedly said, "It is starting." Suddenly, something came out. Chu said, "I cultivate the final layer of the sword fetus, but why is the Zhumi mountain reacting?" As the sword fetus hit the Zhumi mountain, it merged with it. Chu said in shock, Miao Xiaoqi said, "This day has finally arrived." Chu said to himself, "Sister Luo can use the Zhumi mountain to easily suppress 2 Peak Saint Kings so hard they do not dare to fight back." But she said this treasure is imperfect because it does not have a spirit. Normally an emperor weapon has its spirit, but how can the Zhumi mountain, which is more powerful than emperor weapons, have no spirit? I did not think much of it and thought it was simply asleep, and that when Zhumi mountain grew powerful enough, it would awaken. Now, I finally understand. Zhumi mountain is indeed imperfect because it was only part of a treasure. Not only that, so is the congenital sword fetus. Only when both are combined will the treasure become perfect. And the spirit after combining is Miao Xiaoqi. Miao Xiaoqi said, "Looks like you finally understand, meow." Chusha said, "You have been waiting for me." Miao Xiaoqi said, "I have been waiting for you, meow." Chusha said, "Who is arranging all of this? The god of wilderness? How much do you know?" Miao Xiaoqi said, "Not the god of wilderness. A pseudo-emperor level being like him is not worthy of it." Chu said, "Who then?" Miao Xiaoqi said, "Some secrets have to be discovered by yourself. I cannot tell you much. As the saying goes, the heaven secrets cannot be leaked. But I must remind you that you cannot face them with your current cultivation. This sword needs to be perfected within me. For a few days, you can rest in the meantime." And 3 days later, Miao Xiaoqi felt something in her crotch as it shone brightly. She suddenly burst and said, ah! She took out a huge sword and said, "Done." Chu took the sword and said, "Good sword. So you are the spirit of this sword now?" Miao Xiaoqi said, "Yes, meow." Chu said, "So you should know its properties." Miao Xiaoqi said, Hey, why do you not try it yourself? Do not worry, you are its master. The sword cannot hurt you." As Chu tried his new sword, he then faced a huge mountain. He swung his new sword and cut the huge mountain in half. A system notification said, "Info Kike, scanning item, 1%, 2%, 3%, 100%. Scan complete. Would host like to check intelligence information?" Chu said, "Check." A system notification said, "Info. You need to pay 100,000 breakthrough points to check item information, Kike." A system notification said, "Info. Hard for me to do anything without paying." Chu said to himself, "Darn system, you are getting greedier and greedier." Chu said, "Look, system, go ahead and deduct the cost, then hurry up and bring out the attribute panel." A system notification said, "Information. Unnamed type sword. Ever-changing grade Chad supreme treasure. Top-tier traits. 1 never wears down. 2 infinite weight. 3 breaks magic with brute force. 4 ever-changing. Can shift into various forms, but its sword form holds the greatest. Power 5. Nourished by intent. Can be imbued with intent. The wielder may infuse sword intent into it, accelerating the rate of breakthrough in sword intent description. A product of the perfect fusion between Mount Sumeru, and a primordial sword embryo. Its grade far surpasses primordial treasures, reaching the level of a Chad's supreme treasure. Note, the host's current cultivation is too low, can barely activate the treasure. Chushu said, I finally have a weapon that suits me. This treasure perfectly combines the strengths of Mount Sumeru and the primordial sword embryo. Truly powerful. A system notification said, Information, KK. System sends its congratulations to the host. A system notification said, Information. Also, do not forget to name this supreme treasure, host. Miao Xiaoqi said, Miao Xiaoqi, this sword will be called Miao Xiaoqi. This name is the coolest in the whole world. Chu Xiu said, in Huaxia legend, Pangu had the heaven-opening axe, the human emperor had the Xuanyuan sword, the demon god Chiyo had the Chiyo sword, goddess Nuwa had the innate matchmaking divine artifact, the red embroidered ball, and the 3 pure Dao ancestors all had resounding titles. So naturally, my magical weapon also needs a good name. But what name should I pick? Miao Xiaoqi said, if Miao Xiaoqi does not work, how about Miao Miao sword? Sword Miao. Miao sword? The invincible big Miao's sword. Chu Shu slaps Miao Xiaoqi and said, noisy. Chu Shu holds the sword and said, lofty ambitions pierce the heavens, the imperial heart forever tied to the people's will. This giant sword shall be called the Heavenly Emperor Sword. A system notification said, information, naming successful, Miao Xiaoqi said in frustration. This name is not cute at all, Miao. Dark energy suddenly appeared. Miao Xiaoqi said, hurry and leave. This place is about to collapse. Go now. If you are caught in the chaotic void currents, you will surely die. Chu Shu, I will take you now. Chu Shu suddenly teleports into another place. As Chu Shu looked at the table, 3 items were on it. Chu Shu said to himself, white jade talisman, used to control the corpse puppets in the lake. Purple jade talisman, used to control the puppets on Wild God Island, mainly those with independent thought. Black jade talisman, contains the Wild God puppet technique, as well as a sword nurturing technique. Chu Shu said, the white and purple ones are simple. They are just controllers. But the last one, the Wild God puppet technique, that secret art is powerful. It is a kind of alternative immortality method. As for the sword nurturing technique, generally speaking, as long as the sword is strong enough and there is enough time, its power is limitless. If I were to nurture the Heavenly Emperor sword for hundreds of thousands of years, who knows? When it is finally unsheathed, could it even slay an emperor? As Chu Shu burst into flaming aura, and outside, Sword Maiden and One Eye looked at the cabin on top of the mountain from a distance. Sword Maiden and One Eye said he actually succeeded. Sword Maiden said, let us go. Time to meet our new master. As the others gathered and walked towards the cabin, they said, greetings, new master. Greetings, new master. Chu Shu said to himself, looks like after refining the jade talismans, I gained another batch of underlings. And as Sword Maiden and One Eye looked at Chu Shu, from behind Miao Xiaoqi, and Sword Maiden knelt down and said, Sword Maiden, One Eye, reporting to the master. Chu Shu said, rise. Sword Maiden, I want to know, how many people are here in total? Sword Maiden said, Master, there are 4 of us on Wild God Island who possess independent thought at the peak of the Great Saint Realm, including me and Sword Maiden. There are 20 in the mid-stage Great Saint Realm without awareness. Within the Divine Lake, there are a total of 2,000 third-layer Great Saint corpse puppets. Chu Shu, confused and shocked, said, oh, that many? And 2 portals appeared, Slayer Maiden and said, Master. As the 2 sexy ladies from before arrived and said, Master. Chu Shu said to himself, would it not be amazing to send these people into battle? Those so-called great saints on the Skyvault Raito continent, what do they have to compete with me for opportunities? At the other side of the ancient star of Taiji, Lord of 1,000 Faces Tu Shan Qianyu and Snake Maiden are running away with the other monsters. Snake Maiden said, something is seriously wrong with this ancient star. It gets more dangerous every day. We have not found many fortunes, but the number of dead keeps rising in waves. Right.
Qian Mian, are you really okay?
Lord of 1,000 Faces, Tu Shan Qianyu said, I am fine. Just a shame about Qingyu. Snake Maiden said, do not dwell on it. Hurry up and run. Those monsters, they might already be catching up again. As Tianjin and Lu Shui quickly moved forward, Tianjin said, during the battle, Meng Di got separated from us. I do not know if she is in danger. Lu Shui said, Senior Brother Tianxing, is the place you mentioned really going to save us? Tianjin said, yes. That lake is extremely dangerous. It is one of the forbidden zones of the ancient Taiji star. Ordinary beings would not dare set foot there. Just hang on a bit longer. Once we reach that lake, we will be safe. And a few moments later, Lu Shui said, "It is too quiet here. Eerily so. Stay alert." As Tianjin looked around and said, Snake Maiden said, "Fellow Taoist Dark Crow, among us, you are the best when it comes to speed. Please go scout the movements of those monsters so we are not caught off guard." Lord of 1,000 Faces Tu Shan Qianyu said, "No need. They are already here. I placed a triggered barrier in the void around the lake just in case, and it was just activated. We are about to be surrounded. A miscalculation." Suddenly, corpse puppets appeared. Lord of 1,000 Faces Tu Shan Qianyu said, "Yes." I did not think those monsters would be unafraid of the ancient Taiji Star's forbidden zone. And One Eye said, "Master, intruders have entered the Divine Lake again, and quite a few of them." Chu Xiu, confused, said, "Intruders? Show me the projection." One Eye said, "Yes." As Chu Xiu looked at the projection, Chu Xiu said to himself, "It is full of familiar faces." As he saw Tianjin and Lo Shui, Chu Xiu said to himself, "Where is Master? Could something have happened to him?" One Eye said, "Master, should we drive out the intruders?" Chu Xiu said, "Go with Sword Maiden. Rescue them." Sword Maiden and One Eye said, "Yes, Master." Chu Xiu said, "Slayer Maiden, do any of you know what those monsters are?" Slayer Maiden said, "No idea." Chu Xiu said to the old man, "And you?" The old man said, "I do not know either. I have never seen them before." Miao Shaoqi suddenly said, "I know, Miao. Those monsters are weapons created by the celestial slaves, Miao." As Miao Shaoqi came closer to Chu Xiu, and Chu Xiu said, "Celestial slaves? What are those?" Miao Shaoqi said, "As the name suggests, slaves of the heavens. They are extremely evil and powerful, violent, ruthless, and cunning. They are pure demons, lofty and arrogant, looking down on all life. In any case, you must be careful." Chu Xiu said, "How do the celestial slaves create these weapons?" Miao Shaoqi said, "They use the life essence, divine souls, and flesh of living beings as materials for crafting them. The more killing they do, the more weapons they can make. The stronger the beings they hunt, the stronger the weapons they can forge using their essence." Chu Xiu said, "If they are given time to develop, they could create thousands, no, tens of thousands, of great weapons. Even ones on par with Saint Kings or quasi-emperors. Would that not allow them to sweep across an entire world with ease?" Miao Shaoqi said, "The weapons made by celestial slaves have a limited lifespan. The shortest is 1 month, the longest is 1 year. Then they die off on their own." Chu Xiu said, "I knew it. An ability that broken had to come with a drawback, or else it would be totally overpowered. Judging by your words, you know quite a bit. Do you have any idea how powerful the celestial slaves on the ancient Taiji Star are?" Miao Shaoqi replied, "This kitty does know a little, Miao. But how much I tell you depends on what you will trade for the information, Miao." As she came closer to Chu Xiu, seductively. During the battle, Tianjin blocked the attack as Lord of 1,000 Faces, Tu Shan Qianyu, watched. Snake Maiden said, "1,000 Faces, you are the smart one. Find a way to get everyone out of here. I will hold them off. If this keeps up, we are all going to die here." She charged forward and slashed at the monster. The monster suddenly struck her, sending her flying. Tu Shan Qianyu shouted, "Snake Maiden." As Snake Maiden hit the ground, she said, "Go, Qing Yu is already dead. 1,000 Faces, you cannot die too." Tu Shan Qianyu replied, "No, heaven never seals off all roads. There must be a way out of this." As they were surrounded, Tu Shan Qianyu said, "What is that sound?" She turned around. More corpse puppets emerged from the water, grinning. Tu Shan Qianyu shouted, "Peak Lord Tianxing, this is the path you led us to?" Tianjin said, "I did not think it would end up like this." Tu Shan Qianyu, in despair, said, "Are we really going to die here?" She suddenly froze, seeing a figure approach from the distance. It was Sword Maiden and One Eye. Thank you so much for watching. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to help me grow my channel. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. Let's keep the conversation going and get those analytics buzzing. Until next time, take care.